Hi, well, Caroline, this report, we've been working on it for 6 months in Plymouth. The government's got a really ambitious target to build 3 million homes by 2020. We're up for a similar big growth in Plymouth, but obviously the $100 million question at the moment is, what about the slowdown, and can you continue to push forward on that? Can we continue to push forward on that?
I think we can, but firstly just to say well done to everybody who's participated in this report, which Linda's been bending my ear about for some months now, and we're going to meet tomorrow to launch the report here at Westminster. What's really important about the state of the housing market at the moment is that it is difficult, it is challenging, but I believe with our affordable housing programme, which we have £8.4 billion to spend over the next 3 years, we can use that very productively to keep the affordable housing agenda going and to keep builders in business too. And we've already announced that we're going to buy some new build housing off the stocks, if you like, to provide for affordable homes. But it's also importantly about recognising that when the market picks up, and it will pick up, what can we do now to identify the land, to get the partnerships together, but also look at the sort of range of options we can give to people to get on the property ladder, to make sure that they can really get the most advantage out of it when things improve, and they will improve, I assure you.
Well, and of course, as you know, we've got as big a challenge as anywhere in Plymouth because of the ratio between average incomes and affordable housing. We're told that at the moment it's 8 to 1, and that even with the ambitious growth plans we've got, it will go out to 12 to 1. Local housing companies, we're designated as being a possible place for that to develop. Do you see the prospect of perhaps bringing these forward, perhaps bringing on stream the community land trust through, partly, not entirely, but partly through the local housing company?
I think that's a very interesting idea. I mean, the interesting part about local housing companies is which the local authority can use its land to get private investment but build more social homes is one way in which I think local authorities can lead from within a community. But again, community land trusts, I think, offer another sort of bottom-up solution to affordable housing needs. We're going to be consulting further on community land trusts this summer, and I hope your constituents will take part in that. I'm sure you'll make sure their voice is heard. But it's again looking at a range of ideas and seeing what opportunities out of a particular situation allow us to do things faster, or maybe bring on stream earlier than we might have done otherwise.
Well, that's certainly what we want to do in Plymouth, is to find ways of going as far and as fast as we can, and the Community Land Trust, as we see it, builds in permanent affordability, so that taxpayers' money is not forever chasing, trying to put the rungs back on the bottom of the affordability ladder.
That's right, and I think in some communities it's important that they feel that actually these homes are going to be kept within the community and not lost, and therefore caught up in the cycle we've got in very, very expensive properties that are out of the reach of people on average incomes locally.
We also need to build more social housing, and of course we've got a big stock transfer coming up in Plymouth. What do you see as being the way ahead there? Do you see the prospects for building more social housing?
Definitely. We've got, again, targets to get to around 45,000 homes to rent per year, I think from about 2011, and affordable housing on top of that. I'm very interested in not only building more homes for rent in the social sector, but also how we can work with the private rented sector too. And I know that's something you're interested in as well as looking at whether or not some of the schemes to get people on the property ladder, some of the shared equity schemes or shared ownership schemes, could be improved. And despite what's happening now in the housing market, what's been interesting for me is how some of the lenders and the builders are now interested in talking about those different maybe finance models for the future, which may offer a more sustainable model than, say, some of the 125% mortgages that people on lower incomes took up in the past and which now no longer exist.
Well, I certainly think it's a time for thinking outside of the box on these things, and I know that the government's ready and willing to do that. And just as a final thing, I would say that the private rented sector, we found it just has to play a role. We're not going to solve the problem without them, but equally we need some reform in the private rented sector. Is that on the cards?
Yes, it is on the cards. As you know, Linda, we're conducting a review of the private rented sector at the moment. I've no doubt that it will come up with not only positive proposals for creating, if you like, a family of housing providers locally, but also some safeguards about the sort of, dealing with some of the worst aspects of private rented properties, as well as, I think, trying to find a way to incentivise and credit those responsible private landlords who want to be part of that family of housing providers.
Well, and there certainly seem to be plenty of those around, and what started me out on this particular housing report was meeting a woman who had 5 children who had been moved 5 times in 5 years, and clearly that just works so much against all the other very good policies we've got for families that I felt something had to be done about it. I hope this can be the beginning of a dialogue with you and your department about making sure that we do go as far and as fast as we can to provide 21st century homes for people in Plymouth.
I agree.